I want to thank you all for joining me today. Got to do this virtually, but that's okay. Getting through it right now. And I want to take a little bit of time today, hopefully 5 minutes or less. I didn't want to make this into a tutorial. I'd rather just explain to you sort of the problem that we saw as former system integrators doing a lot of development for a lot of big companies, startups as well. And what we saw was something that was not just an opportunity, but a real problem that needed a solution. And hopefully, by the time we get through with this and the history of it, you'll agree that it's probably a problem you have as well, and you'll find this as a solution worth taking a look at. Believe it or not, there was a time, and a lot of you are younger than me, I'm sure. Um, my age will show as we talk through this. I'm certain of it, the comments I make. But there was a time before there was any DevOps, right? I mean, DevOps has a lot of goodness to it, and if you've gotten used to the automation, maybe you don't know any better. But there was a time when there wasn't really much automation at all, and the work that we had to do was pretty arduous in terms of how we built products, right? Before DevOps, dev was dev and ops was ops, right? In fact, I'm sure at a lot of companies that struggle still goes on. We can talk about it as an abstract concept, but in practicality, this goes on in different levels, whether it's a low level of maturity or high level of maturity. Some of this still goes on today. That sort of that wall between operations and development. And I can recall a time before DevOps when it took as much time to just assemble and build and sort of link, compile, execute, watch, run, fix, etc. That whole thing we've gotten used to with CI/CD and that chain, that tool chain that we have today. We had to build it, right? A lot of us did it individually, sharing batch files and cron jobs and all those things. And it was a lot of work, often as much work, if not more, than the actual thing we were trying to build. And I know for myself personally, if I ever needed something from IT, right, new server, new database instance, new something changed, they would just pretend they didn't know what I was talking about, right? They would, they knew what it was going to take work-wise on their end, and they had other things to do, especially keeping the lights on and worry about what I needed to continue to get my job done. So it's no wonder, for some of us who didn't know, I didn't have DevOps, now we have DevOps. It's exciting. It really is, and I myself personally can speak to being reluctant to having to adopt yet another practice. But once I went ahead, drank a little bit of that Kool-Aid, it was worth it because all that automation that takes place is just saving me so much time and energy that honestly, I don't find interesting anymore, right? When you're initially starting to do this kind of work, I think it's intriguing to put things together and see things happen. But once you've done it enough times, that stuff is no longer interesting. You really want to just get to the stuff that is important, which really is the innovation kind of work. So I know we've experienced firsthand the benefits that DevOps can bring, right? Less complexity, more simplicity, period. Productivity, you're getting more things done faster. And again, delivery of features, it takes place, at a speed that certainly 10, 15, 20 years ago was unheard of. But when you think about DevOps, what is it really without automation, right? Every component, every piece where we see there's automation that takes place, if we didn't have it, what would DevOps actually be? And honestly, we've got a lot of tools out there in the ecosystem, but it's not really a tool chain, right? A cohesive linking of these things until something brings them all together, right? And that's often the work we have to do. And unfortunately, to get started, it's still some heavy lifting. You can leverage, an old YAML file from a prior project and certain things and modify an existing Docker file to meet your needs. But, a lot of times the context of the project is sitting within a model, right? It's within the specifications. And even though the technical pieces, we can possibly reuse portions of them and rewrite certain things that fit our new need. Certainly the specifications for this new thing we're doing often don't look like anything that we've seen before. So from our perspective, it was all about what if we could avoid that heavy lifting, right? The stuff that has to take place before we can actually get to the innovative stuff, the stuff that makes what we're building different than what anybody else is out there building, right? And what if we could get past all that and start there? We'd honestly be closer to finishing what we're here to do. And because we're able to, if we could in fact take up that time that typically is taken up, a lot of times it's weeks to months, we could be innovating sooner, more often, failing faster, trying and experimenting more often. And that's really the goal of development. And honestly, you can today with Harbormaster. That's the point of the platform, to sort of bridge that gap between starting and innovation. So whether you're creating a new application, refactoring an existing one, to us, it doesn't make any sense. Again, first time developer, I got it. You want to play around, you want to learn how to, etc. But at some point, you've done it before. You know that it's going to work. Cloning from GitHub is going to work. Building a YAML file, a Docker file, or connecting it up to JFrog or whatever you're doing. It's going to work. It's okay. How do we move past that? And more importantly, it's the context in which you're doing it, right? Your model, your application is different than anybody else's. Well, what we've done is simplified, as we've seen in other cases, with the declarative model. Now we have a web app as well. You can drag and drop and point and click your way to generate an application. But fundamentally, you want to go somewhere where you can simply declare the components of what you're trying to accomplish, right? Here's my model sitting in a simple JSON file, or it could be in a YAML file, could be a UML file, could be SQL, right? You could be actually trying to refactor an existing application. It could be existing Java code sitting in a GitHub repository. You want to reverse engineer out of that, and you want to sort of present the model to the system, to Harbormaster. You also want to be able to select the tech stack, right? We support our tech stacks are constantly growing. We have a capability where you can create your own tech stacks, and these tech stacks are well defined, well documented. We've got support for Lambda, AWS Lambda, Angular, different versions, Spring, Struts 2, Go, to Django, et cetera. That list is going to be growing. And, if you want to contribute to that, you definitely should reach out to us for that. And, again, simple things like the application name. I want to select the CI/CD platform, JFrog pipelines. I want to select an artifact repository. Here's my Git credentials, and here's where I want you to put the project. Here's my Docker credentials, and here's how I want you to, containerize it, et cetera. Right. So I'm doing it all just within a YAML file, and as you'd expect, all the complexities are certainly hidden, and you allow us to take care of that within the platform. And that's it. And in seconds, what you're going to get is what you expect, right? A fully functional application, depending upon the tech stack selected, complete with a user interface, backend, repository, storing the data. You want to have a pipeline YAML file that allows you to build and test and store the artifacts that were created during building the application. You want to be able to have them run through X-ray to make sure that they can pass security, have no vulnerabilities. All that's taken care of for you, right? And once you get past that point, right? So now I have all my code to be able to create, read, update all the things that I said were in my model. I can store them. I can present them on the screen. Now I can get to the work that I really want to do, right? And that's the important part. So for us, it's like, hello world is nice, appreciate it, but it's not what I need. I need to get started further down the path, closer to being able to innovate sooner. And with that, you can with Harbormaster, right? We're going to generate all the things to get started so that you can immediately work on the things that are going to lead to innovation. And I thank you for the time you allow me to spend doing this with you today. I hope you guys are having a safe time wherever you are. Next year, I'm sure hopefully we'll be able to do all this in person. If you have any questions, by all means, reach out to me. Head out to the website. It will certainly do a better job of being able to provide you with more details on the platform usage, the architecture, how you can contribute, etc. So thank you for that, and I hope you guys continue to have a great day.